Vodafone Group is a British multinational telecommunications company headquartered in London and also has its registered office in Newbury, Berkshire. Vodafone owns and operates networks in 21 countries and has partner networks in over 40 additional countries. Its Vodafone Global Enterprise division provides telecommunications and IT services to corporate clients in over 65 countries. Vodafone has always been at the forefront of providing a differentiated experience to its customers. In an engaging approach, Vodafone has made use of augmented reality to transport its customers to the superfast world of 3G, giving them an extraordinary experience. The Vodafone Made for You campaign was launched in November 2012. It was a set of 3 commercials that were practically identical except for the situations that had been portrayed. The first television spot was set in a tailor's shop, the second at a barber shop, and the third in a fitness center, taking the Be Smart mobile internet initiative to a new height. Vodafone India has launched a 360-degree campaign aimed at engaging, educating, and providing a better smartphone experience on the go to its customers. The Be Smart campaign focuses on informing customers about relevant content, latest apps, and educating them how to get best from their smartphones through 3G. As we know, Vodafone is a global enterprise and provides telecommunications and IT services to corporate clients. The growth of a telecom organization depends on the relationships with their consumers. In such a scenario, is it possible for any organization to increase their revenue without attempting to enforce consumer rights and maintaining good relationship with consumers? Hello students, and welcome to this lecture on organizations as consumers, where we shall understand how organizational purchasing decisions are made. The marketer must first understand the roles performed by different individuals within the organization and their personal interests and concerns. And after this lecture, we will be able to learn the following objectives: discuss the organizational buyer behavior, explain the organizational purchase process, describe the organizational culture, explain the internal and external factors influencing organizational culture. Let's start with the introduction of organizations as consumers. Organizations and consumers are similar in that they both are someone's customer. Price is important in both markets. Both markets often expect quality specifications to be met. Both markets make judgments based on past experiences. Both markets expect service guarantees. However, understanding the difference can determine business success. Organizations, including manufacturing firms, service producers, wholesalers, retailers, farms, and nonprofit organizations all buy things. They buy many of the same goods and services as households, such as computers, office supplies, cars, airline tickets, and telephone service. Thus, what distinguishes organizational markets from consumer markets are often not the kinds of products being purchased. Instead, the crucial differences from a marketing viewpoint are the motivations of the buyer, what the organization will do with the product, and the benefits it seeks to obtain, the demographics of the market, and the nature of the purchasing process and the relationship between buyer and seller. Organizational buyers purchase things for one of the three reasons. 1. To facilitate the production of another product or service. 2. For use by the organization's employees in carrying out its operations. 3. For resale to other customers. Another major difference between consumer and organizational markets is the number, size, and geographic dispersion of customers. Organizational markets tend to have fewer potential customers, but on average, they buy much larger volumes than consumers do. In many industries, the largest organizations also tend to cluster in one or a few geographic areas. Let us now discuss the organizational buyer behavior. Organizational buying behavior has to do with the purchasing decisions made by a business or other type of organizational entity. While sharing some characteristics with the buying behaviors of consumers, the purchasing habits of an organization are often influenced by a number of factors that are associated with the culture of the entity as well as the nature of the industry in which the organization functions. Understanding the nuances that motivate a particular organization to utilize certain processed and approaches to buying goods and services can help sales professionals determine the best strategies for connecting with the organization and making sales. The organizational buying behavior of any entity is subject to change over time. Shifts in the economy, changes within the industry, innovations in technology, and the appearance of new government regulations can prompt changes in buying habits as the entity adapts in order to survive the new circumstances.
Smartphones, tablets, social media and the internet are changing the way people buy. When it comes to selection, buyers have more information than ever to guide their discovery and evaluation processes. From professional social networks to suppliers' websites and independent content, buyers and suppliers are operating in an unprecedented era of transparency. As a result, prospects are entering the formal sales cycle more informed about the problem they want to solve and the options available to them. A hidden sales cycle has emerged. That means buyers are well into the selection process before they become visible to potential suppliers. To compete, suppliers must adapt their strategies to manage these hidden sales cycles. Identifying ready, qualified buyers is no longer enough. Suppliers must out-educate the competition to gain mind share and shape the prospect's vision early. This demands mastery of new capabilities and new channels and necessitates a content-driven approach, delivering the right content to the right prospect at the right time and in the right place. This is the problem. The solution is not simple. Your customers and prospects are influenced through every touch point with your organization and your people. Success in this environment needs strong collaboration between sales and marketing, as well as an intelligent approach to systems, content management, and quality of sales experience. It's critical to be able to put yourself in your customer's shoes. Without this capability, you won't be able to serve the content prospects need to qualify you in as a credible supplier, and you run the risk of them never contacting you. The hidden sales cycle presents some fundamental challenges to business technology companies. Managing and monitoring the first stages of the sales process from a distance. Assuring the right message can reach the right person on their preferred device at any time. Enabling salespeople to bring fresh perspectives and new insights for prospects above and beyond what they can find online and from peers.
Characteristics of organizational buying. Many elements of the sociocultural environment influence organizational as well as consumer buying, but Some additional forces are salient only in the organizational setting. 5 characteristics mark the organizational buying process. 1. In organizations, many individuals are involved in making buying decisions. 2. The organizational buyer is motivated by both regional and quantitative criteria dominant in most organizational decisions. The decision makers are people, subject to many of the same emotional criteria used in personal purchases. 4. The organizational decision process frequently spans a considerable time, creating a significant lag between the marketer's initial contact with the customer and the purchasing decision. 5. Organizations cannot be grouped into precise categories. The first item in the list of characteristics has important implications. Unlike the consumer buying process, organizational buying involves decision-making by groups and enforces rules for making decisions. These 2 characteristics greatly complicate the task of understanding the buying process. Let's now take a look at the organizational purchase process. Organizational buying behavior refers to the process of how companies or organizations buy goods and services. Organizational buying is not an easy activity as most people think of it. The steps in between build an organized, informed process that results in the company purchasing the right product for the need from a qualified supplier whose product is the most durable for the price. Organization buying is the decision-making process by which formal organizations establish the need for purchased products and services and identify, evaluate, and choose among alternative brands and suppliers. Different groups or individuals may play one or more of the roles. Users. These are the people who directly use, consume, or require the product or service in order to undertake the operational duties. Influencers. These are individuals or groups who help specify the requirements or provide information to help evaluate the alternatives. Buyers. These individuals and groups have the formal authority to select vendors and undertake the actual purchase transaction. Deciders. These individuals have formal or informal authority to select the final supplier. Gatekeepers. These individuals informally or formally control the flow of information or access to other groups involved in the buying process. Decision-making. The decision-making process by which formal organizations establish the need for products and services to be purchased, evaluate and choose among alternative brands and suppliers. Industrial buying takes place in the context of formal organization influenced by budget, cost, and profit considerations. Furthermore, the industrial and institutional buying usually involves many people in the decision process, with complex interactions among people and among individuals and organizational goals. Data-driven decision process. Customer surveys, sales figures, and market research data are some forms of impartial data that can be used to make decisions. For example, high turnover rates may signal a need to overhaul the hiring and orientation process. Executive-driven decision process. Family-owned businesses or those with strong executive teams may feel more comfortable making decisions without input from other sources. Data analysis may be part of the discovery process, but The analysis is kept close to the executive team, and the members make the final decision. Decision-making systems and tools. Total quality management relied on work teams and quality decision-making tools, such as brainstorming and consensus, to help make decisions. Six Sigma relies on a similar structured process to analyze processes, collect data, and make decisions on process improvement. Office politics. Poor business outcomes may result when managers close ranks and disregard other departments' interests in making decisions. A decision may be beneficial for one department while having a negative impact on another. Purchase situation. Some characteristics of organizational buying and selling behavior include: for consumer brands, the buyer is an individual. In B2B, there are usually committees of people in an organization, and each member may have different attitudes towards any brand. Since there are more people involved in the decision-making process, and technical details may have to be discussed in length, the decision-making process for B2B products is usually much longer than in B2C. Companies seeking long-term relationships, as any experiment with a different brand, will have an impact on the entire business. While consumer goods usually cost little in comparison to B2B goods, the selling process of B2B goods involves high costs and a longer cycle. Steps in the organizational decision process. The stages in the organizational buying process are: problem recognition, the first stage of the business buying process in which someone in the company recognizes a problem or need that can be met by acquiring a good or service. General need description. At this stage of the business buying process, company describes the general characteristics and quantify of a needed item. Product specification. At this stage of the business buying process, buying organization decides on the product and specifies the best technical product characteristics for a needed item. Value analysis. An approach to cost reduction in which components are studied carefully to determine if they can be redesigned, standardized, or made by less costly methods of production. Supplier search. At this stage of the business buying process, the buyer tries to find the best vendors. Proposal solicitation. The stage of the business buying process in which the buyer invites qualified suppliers to submit proposals. Supplier selection. The stage of the business buying process in which the buyer reviews proposal and selects a supplier or suppliers. Order routine specification. The stage of the business buying process in which the buyer writes the final order with the chosen supplier or suppliers, listing the technical specifications, quantity needed, expected time of delivery, return policies, and warranties. Performance review. The stage of the business buying process in which the buyer rates its satisfaction with suppliers, deciding whether to continue, modifies, or drops them. Did you know firmographics play a crucial role in one of the most significant developments in a business segmentation theory came in 1984 with the work of Bonoma and Shapiro, who were the first to propose a truly multi-step basis for segmenting business markets. Let's now get to know about organizational culture. Originally an anthropological term, culture refers to the underlying values, beliefs, and codes of practice that makes a community what it is. It refers to the totality of knowledge in an organization or society. Organizations are located within larger societal cultural contexts. Yet, almost all organizational cultures are unique to particular organizations. Observing culture. Culture plays out in a variety of ways. One can identify the specifics of it from how information is communicated, feedback is given, performance is managed, and projects are coordinated within the organization. Corporate culture as an obstacle. When working towards company goals or when trying to effect change in the organization organizational culture can be the very thing that trips you up. Aligning culture for success. Once a strategy is set for the organization, the way deliverables are produced in the organization needs to be examined and challenged. Strong leadership is required. One of the surest ways to align the culture to the organization's strategy is to apply leadership practices that are also aligned. The leaders at all levels need to know what the required culture is and then determine ways of establishing practices and procedures in all operations that will closely reflect the desired culture. Role of culture. The role of culture in an organization is to specify the goals and objectives of the organization, specify the relations that exist within the organization, specify what qualities are valued within organizations such as loyalty, confidentiality, dynamism, hard work, and so on, and specify the wider context within which the organization operates. External factors influencing organizational culture. There are a number of internal and external factors which are responsible for cultural change in an organization. Composition of the workforce. Over time, the people entering an organization may differ in important ways from those already in it, and these differences may impinge on the existing culture of the organization. Mergers and acquisitions. Another source of cultural change is mergers and acquisitions, events in which one organization purchases or otherwise absorbs another. Planned organizational change. Even if an organization does not change by acquiring another, cultural change still may result from planned changes. Firmographics. Firmographics are descriptive attributes of firms that can be used to aggregate individual firms into meaningful market segments. They describe businesses, nonprofits, and governmental entities. Essentially, firmographics are to businesses and organizations what demographics are to people. Industry. Industry firmographics refer to the activities of the firm. At a very high level, organizations can be classified into business and government segments. Location. Location firmographics refers to where the business is located. As a segmentation variable, firms may be aggregated by city, metropolitan statistical area, state, region, country, or continent. Alternatively, firms may be targeted according to their distance from a central location, usually the location of the firm conducting the sales and marketing effort. Size. Size firmographics define and describe the size of the business. Status and structure. Status and structure firmographics can refer to the relation of one organization to another, or it can refer to the legal status of an organization. Performance. Performance firmographics refer to the characteristics of a firm related to its business execution over time, the duration of a firm's existence, rate of growth or decline, profits and losses, and changes in profits and losses can all be indicators of the likelihood of a firm to need a business product or service. Firms in the same industry of relatively similar size, but undergoing different rates of growth or decline, are likely to have very different demands for business services. As such, they can form meaningful segmentation variables. Opportunity identification. Once the firmographics have been used to identify business and organizational market segments relevant to a business, data sources can be used to develop lists of ideal candidates for targeted sales and marketing campaigns conducted either via direct email, phone calls, trade shows, or advertising media. Internal factors influencing organizational culture. Organizational culture is subjective by several factors which affect its development, performance, and growth. Organizational culture originates and keeps evolving from the dynamics of the interaction between internal and external factors. Internal factors consist of organization's values, leadership style, and structure. Organizational values. Values are qualities that define people, organizations, and products or services at their most basic level. They establish a foundation onto which expectations and trust or distrust is built. Organization leaders must take responsibility for the values the organization and their products or services and employees demonstrate. Taking responsibility for planning their values allows organizations to plan their corporate culture and reputation with confidence. Perception. Perception is the sensory experience of the world around us and involves both the recognition of environmental stimuli and actions in response to these stimuli. Learning. To become a learning organization is to accept a set of attitudes, values, and practices that support the process of continuous learning within the organization. These elements are personal mastery. Create an environment that encourages personal and organizational goals to be developed and realized in partnership. Mental models. Know that a person's internal picture of their environment will shape their decisions and behavior. Shared vision. Build a sense of group commitment by developing shared images of the future. Team learning. Transform conversational and collective thinking skills so that a group's capacity to reliably develop intelligence and ability is greater than the sum of its individual members' talents. System thinking. Develop the ability to see the big picture within an organization and understand how changes in one area affect the whole system. Motives and emotions. Emotions can be regarded as hardwired sources of information that assist in a continuing process of discrimination, which is crucial in canalizing the behavior of the system in appropriate directions. General functional characteristics desirable for effective environmental interaction and facilitation of learning can be conferred on the system by additions to the initial repertoire of motive generators. Interaction of the innate repertoires of emotion and motive Generators not only contributes to construction of the system's world model, but results in the learning of emotions and motives. Now, in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. Organizational buying behavior has to do with the purchasing decisions made by a business or other type of organizational entity. Many elements of the socio-cultural environment influence organizational as well as consumer buying. But some additional forces are salient only in the organizational setting. Organizational buying is heavily influenced by derived demand, that is, demand for an end product or for a product or service sold by the buyer's customers. The decision-making process is by which formal organizations establish the need for products and services to be purchased, evaluated, and chosen among alternative brands and suppliers. Total quality management relied on work teams and quality decision-making tools such as brainstorming and consensus help to make decisions.